Quiet on set!
And action.
On today's schedule, Chinese action movies, Blades of the Guardian, Butcher's Blade, and easily the best action film of the year, The Furious. We also got some belated Pride Month catch-ups with She's the He and Girls Like Girls.
We got some massive news. We have the Emmy nominations. There's also news about Netflix buying Letterboxd. Oh no! And then we also have the Dune 3 trailer. Holy moly, did that look fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and let's jump straight into one of the items that I left out of this intro section, and we're diving straight in because we can all use a little bit of a sort of, cooling off thing because it's still fucking hot in Europe.
Oh, same here, bro.
Oh my god. We can't make ourselves scarce completely artificial yet. That's a really bad transition to...
Yeah, that was awful. That was like a 2 out of 10.
See, it was written by AI already. I could come clean. Someone... that was written by AI. No, Artificial has been picked up by Neon. We sort of talked about that in the last couple of weeks and the progress that it made there. But that is only for North American distribution, right? They sometimes do NA, sometimes only the US. And since then, it's also come out that it seemingly is skipping at least all of the big film festivals that would have like these press junkets and red carpet premieres. So we can assume it's not going to premiere at Venice. It's not going to premiere at TIFF and in New York. Right?
London.
London too, yeah. It's gonna skip all of those and hopefully releases. I assume they probably still go for like a release date this year because it would be kind of stupid to not bank off the like decent press and then also this like PR push that it had through the publicity here. I don't know if there's much else to say other than like, it's a bit of a pity that we won't get to see it in Venice, I guess. But we'll get it later this year, I'm sure. Like the thing is, that's why I said it with distribution and Neon. Unsure, it could be very much like a Mighty Supreme, like A24 situation where it takes until like March next year when we actually get to see this, but remains to be seen TBD. But we'll keep you posted on anything Artificial because it's seemingly popping up as, at least, when it comes to these non-franchise movies or not like incredibly huge filmmakers, one of the higher caliber ones that looks quite interesting. All right, buddy, we got to talk about Dune 3. That trailer dropped and people were saying, oh my god, it's the best trailer ever. And the previous trailer was the first trailer for this Dune Part 3. You know what? Let's hear from you. Like, your impression, having not read Dune Messiah, which I can really like recommend because it's quite a short book when it comes to the Dune. Like the other one is like 3 times as big, like the first one. I actually before I like talk about anything that I saw already, I'm not gonna say anything about like spoilers in this. I'm really gonna try my best. But your impression out of this, like, I know it's my most anticipated film of the year. Does it like sort of shoot up for you in the rankings? Now that you've seen The Furious too.
Yeah, it is my now most anticipated movie of the year. And when looking at my, the movies that would have come out this year, you're looking at the list and you're like, oh, okay, well, I know, something like The Odyssey is going to be good to great. I know something like Dune Part 3 will be good to great. So that's what I base it on. Right, so I, for example, have the Odyssey at 15 and Dune Part 3 at number 17. That shit is now all the way into the top. I gotta say, it looks good. And the biggest thing that everybody has been talking about online is the way that Dune Part 3 looks. Because it does look quite, drastically is a heavy word, but
those grain shots, the 60 millimeter ones, they do stand out quite a bit.
They do stand out quite a bit, so I do think it's an apt
they stand out for a new look, right, for this.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Linus Sandgren, you had that different texture with No Time to Die as well, and you have that here as well. So
he's the one
like
who can close out these franchises, closing out Bond, closing out Dune. I
gotta say, can you tell me one thing? I'm kind of missing my boy Josh Brolin in these trailers. Is he even in the movie?
I was about to say like I don't know if it's a spoiler. So I don't want to. I don't know if I can say he is still in Dune. I don't know if he's in this movie. I forget because actually, wait, no, this is sort of a spoiler. I can't say. I also think it's gonna change a bunch because he also changed a bunch about Chani from the first book, made it more of a core thing. And the core dilemma of, I think, that hasn't been given away in these trailers, which I don't want to say it, it's something that you haven't seen in the trailers I really don't want to spoil. But there has been like a significant time jump, and we can sort of guess that because Aliyah, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, is in the trailer, and she's like grown up, and she was a baby. And the start of that, like by the end of the actual first Dune book, I think she was like 3 or even 5, because the time jump of like them fighting was a couple of years. So they do a 12-year time jump in this, and in the meantime, he sort of just captured the whole known universe. They haven't really said that, but I think it's sort of implied. And it's going to be a line in the movie, but like he's killed like dozens of billions, like I think 60 billion or 59 billion people have like sort of died under his reign, like crazy stuff. And yeah, it's obviously going to come about like the fallacy of this messiah who sort of legitimized himself through this sort of ancient people and has lost the plot completely, and other people who will try to bring him down. I think that's already sort of talked about, and that's going to be the main thing of this movie, sort of running through the whole film. And I think it's also going to adapt not just Messiah, but it did cast. Do you see that it did cast children, right? That's not a spoiler to you.
Oh, yeah.
They did cast his children, and those would be children of Dune. So that's the next book. So I think they're going to like use a certain few bits of that story. There is like a sci-fi miniseries from the Sci-Fi Channel. Back in 2003, they adapted Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. So I'm gonna watch that. I actually was close to watching it.
James McAvoy, right?
I think so, yeah. So I'm quite keen to check this one out. And we also saw Duncan Idaho return. If you remember, in Dune, that guy died. So how is he back? He's actually like coming back with a different name, even. But yeah, I think they haven't really said all of that. So like, I'm gonna stop now. But I'm so fucking excited. This movie looks so hype, and it's justified. It's spot at the top for me as like most anticipated film of the year for me. But holy fuck, looks so stunning.
And while we're going from one high to a very potential low in Letterboxd eyeing a sale with Netflix. It's also in early talks alongside Paramount, Sony Pictures, and the founder of Reddit. Look, it is early talks. It's just the potential candidates that are out there. It may not be happening at all, but apparently now Letterboxd has 30 million users, only 10 million of those coming from last year. So you can really see how the Letterboxd fan base has grown. And it is tough with websites like these. You may not have heard of it, but TV Time, for example, a very well used site for TV shows, etc., is shutting down because it refused to use ads and subscriptions, and now that's shutting down. And now everybody has to go to an alternative. Am I going to Tracked? Am I going to Serialized? But for example, Serialized is also done by just one dude. It is a little bit of a frightening thing because those are your statistics. That's essentially your diary. And when those things disappear, well, how do you take that with you? How do you transfer it over?
Yeah.
All questions amongst this physical media thing, for example, with Sony, etc. It's like, how do we keep something of ours? How do we keep something in hand? And I feel like that sentiment is now riding with Letterboxd. If Letterboxd is being taken over by Netflix, by Paramount, by Sony, how is it staying impartial? What does it mean for the consumer, for the user? And I just think Letterboxd is something that's so precious to so many that people have like want a say in this. It's like, no, please don't do this. So Ewan, how do you feel about this?
I mean, if you look at IMDb, right, that's Amazon. You got Rotten Tomatoes, which I think a stakeholder is NBC, like Universal is in there. A lot of these things are sort of muddied. They are, I think, disconnected. At least when it comes to like Rotten Tomatoes, that side. But that's a reviewing side for like actual like accredited, and then IMDb is more just for users. Like it would be, and it's also like something different that is like IMDb is more the user only. Then less curated. Also has a part of it like IMDb Pro that's more the professional side. So it's not completely for the users and social media side at all. You have Rotten Tomatoes, which is like the thing of like users plus critics, and then you have Metacritic, which is just critics. And then the biggest other thing is Letterboxd, which is just for the users, And I think if that is taken away in a way, not that that would change like that structure, but the question is like, how do you monetize that for Netflix? I think sort of with the video store, maybe they are like sort of teasing that they're going into a direction where it would make sense for Netflix. That's where like it sort of makes sense for me, maybe with Sony, not gonna lie, because they have their like streaming debut deals with Netflix, and they don't have their own streaming service. So if they build it into like a video store where Sony exclusives where they go first, like that's where I could see like that Sony Pictures Entertainment would have a like decent thing at it. I think Netflix should just stay the fuck out of all of this. And they already sold like I think 60% of their shares like last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want someone like a Phil Knight to come in, or like Travis Knight's dad, and just go like, hey, here's, I don't know why. I also don't get why, other than like money and the growth, and you're selling like always with these media acquisitions, and it's also usually the subject of all of these acquisitions when there's story told about them. So we are like, as people who just consume media, also know that like the motivation for these acquisitions is users. That's what's valuable, right? And these amount of users, these 30 million users that you can potentially monetize, that's what they're buying, not the platform itself.
It's also data.
And data, like that's like if you have Letterboxd connected to your Netflix, and then it recommends you stuff that, hey, here's stuff on your watch list. Like those are all like sort of neat things. You know, you could potentially do stuff like that with an extension, but that's sort of where they can monetize you staying longer on Netflix using their service. Like that's sort of a thing that I can see doing if Netflix gets it. But I just hate all of this. It's like, it's the same with fucking Warner Brothers, right? Where we don't want Paramount to buy them. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's so annoying.
Can I just say, I do think it's quite ironic that Paramount has the least Emmy nominations of like any of the other studios.
Oh yeah, they got two. The Tyler Sheridan shows are incredibly popular, but they don't get any Emmys. Which,
no,
let's talk about the Emmys. The nominations came out, and I think I'm going to present it to you as to Kevin basically, and you can listen in a way of someone who doesn't watch or care much for TV shows. Maybe once they're done and you know that they are like amazing, then you end up, you're catching this stray, Kevin. You can't avoid it. Then maybe potentially after like 10 years, he says like, oh yeah, I guess I'll watch it. Or if it's like some random British show, then he'll watch it. But not a lot of this stuff with this American productions. And Emmys are specifically American produced shows. For that reason, something like Heated Rivalry, which is completely Canadian, wasn't even eligible to be nominated. But Connor Story did get a nomination for his SNL appearance. Just a little bit at the top here. But let's go over and basically see like what was the biggest difference this year. And I think because there was sort of a void with some of these shows that have gotten a lot of nominations, like last year the most wins went to the first season of The Studio, the first season of The Penguin, Adolescence in the miniseries, like limited series, and then Severance season 2, right? They got most of the awards, got a ton of nominations. And now you sort of have the void of like this. They filmed the new White Lotus season while we weren't gone, or like after we left, they were like, hold up, we gotta wait until these two guys leave. They're too bougie even for White Lotus, so we can start now. You also got like The Bear, which sort of fell off in this season 4 thing of getting not as many nominations as it usually gets, and because it comes out in June, it is also because the eligibility is until the end of May. So they like for this last season, which just came out like a month ago or less than a month ago, those nominations will come in next year. So it's always been like that. It's a bit confusing, but what filled the void? I think The Pit has been the like basically biggest show, especially in drama. Since then, it got a ton of nominations, a total of 25 actually, and closely followed by that is Hacks, which put up a new record. I think they had the previous record as well. With most amount of nominations in comedy with 24, and it was its last season too. An incredible show. I really can recommend it. It's fucking hilarious. I did sort of plant the first couple of seats for Kevin too, because he didn't respond to it. He just plainly ignored it. But I did send him like a compilation of like best out of context hacks clips, which includes a lot of the last season too. So it's like very spoiler heavy. But I knew he wasn't gonna watch it, so it was pretty safe. But Hacks is amazing and deserves its nominations. And then also a new show over on Apple TV Plus that already got renewed for a second season is Widow's Bay. That I saw the hype sort of coming, and then I was immediately drawn into it as well and binged it too. That one got 19 nominations, and it was airing as the window closed for the Emmys. So only the first 6 episodes are actually eligible. And Matthew Rice actually made like history because he has become the first double nomination in like lead actor in drama and then in comedy, I think in a long time. I can't remember like exactly when. If I find it, I'll put it in. But he was nominated for Beast in Me and Widow's Bay. And then when it comes to like the biggest snubs, I think the 3rd season of Industry was completely shut out. And I thought that show was... Oh wait, was it the 4th season? Shit. I think it might have been the 4th season. But the latest season of Industry has been shut out, and they're gonna do one more season and then they're done, I think. But I feel like the show has just been getting like overlooked. I think it's really good. I think it's not up there maybe with something like Succession, but it's like closely there. I think it's not that much like lesser in that sense. And then The Night of the Seven Kingdoms got nominations. You know, it got I can't remember how many it got, but I got a lot of tech stuff. It did get drama, but it didn't get acting noms for The Kid or even the Sir Duncan the Tall. And Kaylee Spaney was the only one who was left off of the Beef nominations, even though the other 3 like main stars got, and like another side character got like nominations. And then The Boys and Stranger Things in the last seasons went without like big nominations. And that's sort of the Emmy summed up. I think it's going to be one that's going to be talked about a bit less because it is sort of the pit and Hacks against everyone else, and we'll sort of see what else gets maybe a couple of wins. But like another outlier was something like Pluribus that got 18 nominations. Maybe Rhea Seehorn can finally get her like Emmy. And then DTF St. Louis, a limited show that I thought was quite decent. Also got a respectable 13 nominations. Spider Noir got 11, but tech only. That's about that. I mean, HBO still dominating, got 122 nominations in total. Netflix got 111, Apple got 87, Amazon got 39, ABC got 38, Hulu got 22, and Peacock got 18. And I'm leaving out a couple of other ones that aren't like that notable. I think CBS got also like 15 or something like that, but most of them... No, wait. Was it CBS? The one that fired Stephen Colbert? But the one, like, they got mostly nominations for him, but the show is now off air, right? They fired him. But yeah, and then Paramount Plus only with the 2 measly nominations here. But again, I think I would urge you, Kevin, to go check out The Pit. Like, the 1st and 2nd season are really you know, he's fucking rage baiting me because there's like, it's legit one of the best shows of the last couple of years, and he's so standoffish.
What I do like to go see is always the limited things, because hey, I like the limited things because those are like one and done, so I can watch those instead of the season long things. And I gotta say, bro, outstanding television movie is always the category I look forward to every year, just to see what the fuck is in it. And it's like Heads of State, Jack Ryan, Ghost War, Miss You, Love You, which is a movie I never heard of, so I added that to the watch list. People We Meet on Vacation, and Remarkably Bright Creatures. So it's like, okay,
the Jack Ryan one was even like, it got such bad reviews that even I didn't watch it. And I watched that shit. Even I didn't. And I've seen the Jack Ryan series and all of it. I was like, even I didn't see that. So, yeah. But yeah, let us know what you thought were the best shows of the year so far. I mean, Emmys is also, going into last year. But I might do something because I've already seen like over 20 shows from this year. So I can't talk about my highlights, not on this show, but maybe I'll make some separate thing about it that doesn't include Kevin sort of slightly losing interest every couple of minutes as I talk about it, because I know it's tough. I say this is a movie and TV podcast. I think it is just a movie podcast since you've joined.
No,
honestly. What?
It isn't.
What? Okay. Well, maybe we should review the next season of Taskmaster when it comes out or something like that. We make it a TV show.
Or I can review Clarkson Farm when I finally watch that with my sister. It's like we can only watch one episode or two, and then it's like she's gone again. So I can't watch it with her, and it's pissing me the fuck off. But well, you know what my sister is watching?
What?
She is watching Succession with her boyfriend, and that's been a wild ride to watch their reactions to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun because like if you watch it as like a couple, you'll have these like very quotable lines that probably at some point you'll have as you talk with each other, like woven into your vocabulary for a while. It's that quotable.
It's also so fun to see them like, we don't like Greg, but we do like Kendall. And it's like, at a certain point now, they were like, we do not like Kendall, we do like Greg. Like,
yeah, the back and forth. Anyways, let's get to our main reviews this week, and they are filled with a lot of Chinese films. So, Jiegui Bokui Shangshui Shi Shug Wenye. Let's talk about The Furious by Kenji Tanigaki.
For your sake, I hope you nailed that.
I did. Yeah, no, I nailed it. Definitely. Like, it's a tonal language, but I nailed the tones. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the director has also made Enter the Fat Dragon, but I think who is even more exciting than the director here of The Furious is Kensuke Sonomura, who did Baby Assassin films, who did Ghost Killer, which we reviewed. And we already saw this sort of spark of a different type of like action film be in its birthplace, and this has just sort of elevated it onto a new level. And The Furious premiered last year at TIFF. It got a release with a unfortunately dubbed version in parts. Anything that's in Thai is actually dubbed, unfortunately, and then the Chinese parts are subtitled. In the States, and it got a very limited run like internationally, and it's now become available on VOD, where we first got to see it now again. And this is a movie that you gotta experience. Like a festival, this would have been peak, and also seeing it non-dubbed. But it's a very simple premise. A father fights fiercely against ruthless kidnappers to save his abducted daughter. And for you, Kevin, this was your most anticipated film of the year. You've heard the rumblings, which were not just rumblings, they felt like earthquakes from TIFF, and you finally got to see it yourself. What did you think?
It just sucks that I didn't get to experience this in a theater. It just fucking sucks, and I was kind of sick as well this week. I'm like only back on the mend, and I watched The Furious just before I got sick. So I was in like a weird physical state, but you know what? That physical state, like, you know that picture of SpongeBob floating in the air?
Yeah.
Like with the AirPod in, like that was me watching The Furious.
Yeah.
And I should say, because we will praise Kensuke Sonomura like out of the park here. But I do have to commend the director as well, because the director is originally also a choreographer, very much a stunts person, has done Raging Fire, has done a lot of work with Donnie Yen, for example. SPL Killzone has a lot of banger scenes in it. Raging Fire has also done the choreography for, Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In, Donnie Yen's The Prosecutor, Full Time Killer. So the man definitely has a lot of, work on his tally as well in terms of experience, in terms of stunt work. And I just think everybody in this movie came together to really produce something special here. And I'm talking from the director. I'm talking from Kensuke Sonomura. I'm talking to the whole entire cast, Shohei Taslim, who has been in how many great movies so far, by the way. It feels like every couple of years he will be in an absolute banger. And he hasn't been in that many films. No. So he has been into Raid, which is a banger. Yeah. Then he's in The Night Comes For Us, which a few years later, another heater. And now with The Furious. And I don't know what the hell this guy does, but every year he just appears, feels like he drops the mic, and he vanishes back into the background. It just goes to show how underutilized he is in those Mortal Kombat movies. Just quickly saying. Then we also have Si Meow. I hope I say that name correct, by the way. Who plays the lead in this film. Who we have discovered through the Eye for an Eye series, because he plays the blind guy in here. Has done a lot of like direct video type movies, I should say. That's how I discovered him to those Iki movies. Yeah. He's also an actor that has, you know, done a lot of work throughout those years, been in minor parts in earlier work. But I've discovered him also to the Fight Against Evil films. He has been in Fight Against Evil 3, which is also one of those key action movies. One of the better ones this year, I should say. I gotta say, my unsung hero of this movie, though, is Brian Lee. He is just a hunchback gorilla in this. Feels at times like Donkey Kong. He's an absolute brawler, and the way he moves across the screen with his posture is mesmerizing stuff to watch. And he's like in multiple bangers. Like every action scene that he is in, it's like the best one.
Yeah, no, he is on it. Literally, like the final fight, like slight spoilers. He is in the final fight. He runs into the fight, and it's like, okay, we've entered a new like sort of level. It is. It's just the movie was already peak, and then it was like, oh my god, it's going into the fucking stratosphere. We're at the peak of the mountain. We are levitating right now.
And then we have Yayan Ryan, who has been in the Wade movies, was in John Wick 3 alongside his other The Wade co-star, and he had been in a bit more movies than perhaps like a Brian Lee or Zoe Taslim, but
yeah,
it also feels like
he's more the antagonist always, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Boy Kills World, which I haven't seen, but I've seen his fight in that movie, which is quite great.
It's funny, no one can keep up with him. It feels like the fight is slowed down for him.
Then you also have the other person, Joey Iwanaga as Pak Lung, who completes that trio, like those five people that really make this movie, make that final fight. And I feel like I've talked a bit too much now. You go again.
Hey,
I can ramble on for this movie for so long.
Your favorite movie of the year. You could most anticipated movie of the year. We'll get to it. Maybe. It might be your favorite. Yeah. Honestly, Kevin, bit of a spoiler. It might be my favorite film of the year so far. I fucking love this film. It is fucking amazing. And we talk often about what does an action film need to be great. Is it always capped if some of the plot parts like sort of like arrest its momentum, or is it okay if the plot is completely stupid, if you have action scenes to make up for it? And its best case, it is sort of an acceleration, slow down, and ramping up again instead of crashing. You never want to crash your car. You want to keep it stalled and keep going. And this movie does that. None of its plot points are too convoluted, are too set up-ish in a way, like to give character motivations, and because they're clear, they're easy to follow, and then you entirely get wrapped up in the fighting style. And no one has like a specific fighting style that is completely different from each other. I think it is speaking a different kinetic language than I've seen in any other like movie to date. It's only been in these other Sono Mura movies, like specifically Ghost Killer, where we saw the premise of that one was that like a ghost is basically like possessing someone else and letting them fight through them. So it was a lot of it was like giving yourself over in this sort of fluidity of motion when you may be resisting to it. And here it's sort of extending that, where it feels like instead of everyone sort of trying to find the momentum to keep in motion, it is that ballet-like thing where, those ballet moves where everyone moves in and everyone moves out and it's all like synchronized. That's what they do here as like a mob of people fighting each other. And it's not that like, here comes one guy, bomb, boom, punch. Next guy comes, bomb, boom, punch. It's everyone at the same time. So you hug each other, like as you're fighting, you're moving in the same direction. And it still feels like people are scrambling. It's not all too over choreographed. The moves don't feel like preordained in the way that the camera moves. It knows how to stay back and then stay with the action. Honestly, this might be like, I think it's up there as one of the best action movies ever made. It certainly is top 5 of all time, like easily, like not even a discussion. I think it's that great.
For me, I still hold the original debate. I hold John Wick Chapter 4 higher than this movie.
I'm a bit lower on the John Wick franchise as a whole, than most others are.
But you know what? Now I'm mentioning John Wick. Let me talk about. Because a lot of people have said, in the, this is the new John Wick, this is the new And it's like,
well, people can say Fury Road or John Wick. They can't do anything else when
Yeah.
it comes to action.
again, this movie truly is like an evolution in the genre that has been slowly been building up by Kensuke Sonomura.
Mhm.
And just for context, for example, if you watch Ghost Killer, the final fight of Ghost Killer, same lightning that happens in this final fight, that orangey tint, like isn't exactly the same in the final fight of Ghost Killer.
Yeah.
And so, and then you have the movement, and Ewan has been laughing with me with this term, but it's floor play that I'm saying. I know.
That's funny. But yeah, it is.
For example, right, with John Wick Chapter 3, one of the complaints, like, now, it is tough to complain with the John Wick choreography, but one of the complaints was that there was a lot of throwing, but once somebody gets thrown, they get sort of picked back up immediately, and like there's very rarely anyone actually like struggling on the ground. John Wick will perhaps do that a little bit more often in the fourth film, but like thrown around, get back up, to have that sort of elevated fight. This is where that evolution for me comes like into play. And they stay on the ground. They move alongside the floor. They use each other in that final fight to try to beat the other person as well. You are gliding. You are using the walls to get back up again that way. You are using the other person's jacket, clothes. And that to me really feels like a new level of dynamic of, you said it perfectly, with kinetic movement into the frame, that I have to like truly applaud like Kensuke Sonomura. Like you're my action god, as you said, a certain
he's
person
a fucking
as well.
action god, yeah.
He's an action god, and this movie truly feels like the peak of that evolution that we have witnessed over the years. Like, I'm very glad like that I got you on the Baby Assassins train and the Ghost Killer train.
Like, two phases of Marvel and getting to see Infinity War and Endgame. This is what sort of the Furious feels like for this niche, like Japanese spawned action, like that is now branched into a like Southeast Asian sort of thing, where like Indonesian actors, Chinese actors, Thai actors, a Japanese director are like all working together here. To bring something incredible out of it. We haven't even talked about the lead character, who's mute. He's not deaf. He's mute.
He's mute.
It also just works for this very like blank slate type of lead that is just a driving force, right? That's all he sort of is, and this movie needs for him to be. And then you can sort of flesh out the Navin, that's a character a bit more, giving him a bit more of a backstory than you need for the lead guy, because he's just trying to save his daughter.
In that regard, it is sort of like a reverse Taken. It is sort of like the Man from Nowhere. There are odes to Oldboy in this. There are odes to Jackie Chan in this. With a certain ladder fighting that's happening, which is like
I
peak
feel like
Jackie
there's an
Chan.
Ultra Smash Brother in this, the way that the big guy smashes, like, I don't know. It's like in certain Donkey Kong levels, there's like a boss in, this is a really deep cut, in Tropical Freeze, where he stacks like the ice blocks and you sort of have to jump over them. And there's like one scene in the freezer where like he literally does like punches through like an ice block. It's crazy.
But that exact sequence that you're talking about, that ice punch, like there's a little bit of a CGI flaw in there. The ending is perhaps a little bit melodramatic for me, to the point that's like, now you're being a little bit perhaps too cheesy. But that those are the little elements that really aren't make this movie not exactly a 10 out of 10 for me. But my God, we both, let's just both say our rating. We both give it a 9.5 out of 10. We really regard this movie highly in the action pantheon, as some people have said as well. And you know what? Let's just talk about the fights in particular.
Spoilers.
The opening with the journalist woman truly feels like a Baby Assassins fight scene, for example. Right? She's fighting off multiple, again, because she's weaker than the people she's fighting, so she's really using her body. Again, that sleaziness.
It's also like diving under in a way, right? That's what these two characters do a lot in Baby Assassins.
So that's like a great opening sequence, and I also feel like a great introduction for people that aren't used to that style of fighting. Like, if you haven't seen any of those other films that we talked about, and you just go to watch this one, then you're like, oh, this is a very other type of style, a fighting style that I've seen. So I think it's a great introduction as well. And then we have that truck chase, which once again, that truck, the way he's chasing that truck is insane. It's like how quick is this truck going exactly? How many miles per hour? How many kilometers? What was Bolt's top speed? 41 point something kilometers an hour. No, I feel like
it's kilometers. It's instead of kmh, it's like kWW because it's like kilometers per one y after this, because the guy is fucking going like a maniac and he's running in flip flops and then on his bloody fucking feet. And yeah, it's also like the way that stops is the way that he gets hit by the car at the end. That is like, there are slight little bit of flaws when it comes to the CGI integration there. It's like the tiniest thing. It's no big deal. But no. It is a bit apparent, the sort of Southeast Asian.
It's apparent, but I didn't mind that hit.
No, I didn't mind that hit.
Yeah,
yeah.
And again, one of my favorite moves, once again, does involve Brian Lee, and it's the way that he gets Yamaya off that truck.
Yeah.
Because he has him in sort of this bar, and he's like, you know what, fuck it. And he turns his back into him, and it's like, that's such an inventive move to get his off.
It's like King of the Hill with getting on the back of the truck. That's sort of what they're doing.
Then, the next action scene is in that club. And one of my favorite segments there is just the hammer pentagon. It's just the way that he gets thrown into that pentagon with those two fighters. And it's like, I'm not really standing a chance with this. He's a hammer. And it's not even a tiny, like a big hammer. It's just like a very tiny one. But it does the job. And the way that he stacks those people up inside the pentagon, it's so.
Well, it's also the way that they are like that we pull back and these two are revealed is exactly like you'd end a cinematic cutscene in a video game into, okay, now you are back controlling the game. So it's like it puts you in you immediately feel like, okay, we are like doing the setup and now we go. And like, not to jump too far ahead, but there's a similar thing towards the end when they are like the lightning comes down and the two, like they're both on each side, 2 versus 2. And it's like boom, and it's like the stance of what you would, I think 10 years ago, you would have called that like a comic book panel, right? With superheroes.
Yeah.
But here it feels like it's more video game-esque of like, here we go, now the fight starts.
In that club sequence, there is, so for me, again, with those camera movements that we've talked about, so Zoe Taslim's character goes up to the computer and then you have Xiumai's character that enters it. And it's just the way that they, again, like they're in a small room, like that computer room, and then they move out into a slightly bigger room. And again, that is such a great example of using your environment, knowing where to put the frame. It's like now we're in this tiny room. Now we are like naturally dissolving the fight to a bigger room, so we have more space to do these moves. Perhaps put the camera there, put the camera between shelves, so you have this sort of fighting like black bars that are going on, so you can really focus it. So like a video game, like a comic book panel, and that's one of those scenes. And it's a tiny thing that maybe not a lot of people will notice, but I salivate at shit like this. I gotta admit.
I was while I was like prepping for this review, I was like thinking the many ways that because I told you I'm watching this final scene and I could cry.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you could say, I'm watching this final scene, it's giving me a fucking boner. Is watching this final scene, I could come. And like the different ways that you could describe sort of your excitement is like crying, being horny, or like ejaculating. It's like, oh my god, okay, we need like different verbal or like phrases to say like this is incredible, and the sort of, oh my god, this movie is making me blush. I was like, oh no, it's always got a sexual connotation to it. So like that's just a random thing that I was like, how do I express myself in the plethora of like praising things about this film that aren't just like overtly sexual in nature. But yeah.
Then we have that mini hallway fight that does feel like an ode to Old Boy. Maybe not as many people in that hallway, but the way the camera moves alongside him very much feels Old Boy-esque. And then you have that freezer fight, which again, in any other movie, that's your like number one fight. But
finale.
And then you have the sledgehammer, which comes into play because like we had the tiny hammer with in the club scene, and then you have the sledgehammer. And it's so interesting to see the 2v1. Again, choreography is not easy in stunt work, and the way that this fight could make the final fight easily be boring because it would feel repetitive, right?
Mhm.
But no, the way they are using obstacles to avoid shots very much feels video game-esque. We've talked about it.
Mm-hmm. And it adds layers, it adds backgrounds and foregrounds to it, right?
Foreground layers. It literally has layers with the higher floor, lower floor, lowest floor, with the discovery of that his daughter was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you have these little interesting missions. At a certain point, Brian Lee character had the sledgehammer. You have to get the sledgehammer out of his hands, even though his two fists are sledgehammers on its own, granted.
Yeah.
But action is story, and I feel like they get this, and especially in the final fight, we'll talk about it. But I just really want to say, like, every action move should be a story on its own. If you watched any of the Corridor Crew Stunt React people, you'll understand what I'm sort of saying as well there. Again, that freezer fight, the way he's decapitating his recently frozen henchman there as well, it's absolutely bonkers. It should be a miracle that he even wakes up from that sledgehammer hit to join the final fight, but I'm very happy he does.
Yeah.
Then we have that rescue.
When we go to that character, maybe to establish him, because he's with his sort of supposed dad that he thinks is his dad, or like one point of attack for him as well. But they are like hired by these people to kidnap the children, right? That's where we get them in the beginning. And then we have in the background from the first couple of, like from the first scene already, these other two, like the scheming little douchebag younger guy with the glasses, Mr. Arrow, Mr. I'm in the raid and I'm always the villain in these action movies. And they're like different forces, right? They are sort of working for each other. Sorry, he's working for them, but not with them.
Then we have the rescue mission of Joey Taslim and CMR's character found the location. They are going there. They find the children. He has actually escaped with his daughter, but then he comes back. And I gotta say, I just love the fact that the daughter is also like a little badass on her own, wants to join the cause, is going on that motorcycle and just hitting people with, I don't remember which exactly she's holding, it's like a bat or like just a metal rod, but it's just badass that she's joining the fight as well. Then we have that police standoff as well with the corrupt chief that is withholding these people. Very much also, this tale of the elite are corrupt and all of that.
We're saying one of the writers has done a lot of Johnny Toe stuff too. So
yeah,
that's exactly what he sort of likes to do as well. The police is sort of this incapable, like corrupt institution too.
And then let's just get into it. The final fight, the police station fight. And this is what I mean with action is story. So we have, because it's quite funny. We've done a few corrections over the few like past minutes with the show notes, and because you had final 4-way fight, and as well, it's not exactly a final 4-way fight because this fight lasts like over half an hour, which is mad in its own, choreographing a whole 35-minute fight, what it feels like. So you have this 2v2 of the journalist, and quickly just before that, because the reason that Pak Lung, Joey Iwanaga's character, joins the fight is because he accidentally stabs his wife. By the way, which was a plot twist I did not see coming. I was like, oh, damn, you really did that. I would be pissed in your situation too. I get it. You can join the fight. So we have this 2v2 fight. I just love the fact that Jada Janine's character is also like a wonderful archer. It's just shooting everybody perfectly, using the bow as a weapon as well, whether it's a string, whether it's the bow itself, like just wonderful stuff. Then we get to that 2v2, and you have characters here that, all have a motive to be there. You have the journalist, you have the henchman. Now, probably Yija Jennings' character is probably the character with least motive, in the sense of he's just the henchman killer, the assistant killer, who is very brutal. And then everybody else has their own motif. And then Brian Lee character joins, and it's like, so we turn from a 2v2 to a 2v2v1, and everybody is aiming for someone else exactly there. And again, this is what action is story. Then you throw Jija Jani's character and Joey Taslim's character off the balcony, so you have their 1v1 fight who discovers like he's the one that killed my wife. Again, action is story, and it never feels forced. This is what I kind of want to say. It never feels forced. It moves on quite naturally, and I just love the way that they do it. Then it's basically a 1v1 v3. Then you have Brian Lee character and the other two leads upstairs who are fighting. By the way, at a certain moment, Sia Meyer's character is knocked out, and then you have basically the 1v1 of Joey Iwanaga's character and Brian Lee. And at a certain point, they're both lying on the floor, and they're just punching each other. One. I just lost my mind in this because it's like, how are y'all still going? And then with the 1v1 there, they're using the like. This is the first time really besides the freezer fight, where they are really using, going a little bit more in the Bourne-esque things of pick shit up and use it. Because before they never really do that. They really use their fist, their movement. But now you are using the environment, whether it's the desk, whether it's something you're picking up, a stapler or whatever. And yeah, do you have anything else to say about that fight? Because it is a glorious fight, I must add.
I love the moment where I think one person kicks another one and there's another one behind them, so they fly into the wall. I forget who it is. I also love the moment where Wang Wai is like between the two of them, and he faces one, faces the other, and then he just faces forward, and then he just like as they go forward, he just steps forward and they fight each other. It's like I love the moment where it just like goes into like these doof, 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 and just like does this split.
I've seen that moment on Twitter all over. Everybody's just loving that split screen moment. It's so good.
And
again, like
it's cheesy, but
really,
it works. It's not cheesy because like it earns its like epicness there.
They don't do it at the beginning. They do it like halfway through their 2v1 fight.
Oh, the way that Naveen also goes out, the fucking like getting stabbed, stabbing himself further so he can bite into the neck of the guy is fucking brutal, and then just dying as well. It's like, oh my god, Jesus fucking Christ! And like the moment where he like closes instead of taking the ring and giving it on, it's like, no, you keep this, and closing his hand. I think on a lot of these notions, they could be overdrawn and like too sentimental for the briefness that they've known each other, but sort of this just goes for pure impact, like all the time in action as well as like in narrative, and it works.
By the way, that Naveen character, that just feels so like Indonesian cinema, whether it's the raid, whether it's the night comes first. Like that just feels like a moment from that type of action cinema.
Yeah, I mean, he is Indonesian, right? So like,
yeah. And then we have the final 1v1. And, if you thought, Mandy's chainsaw fight, is quite crazy. How about you take that fight, but you use bikes?
What? Is this fucking Amsterdam? Communist China? They bike everywhere? No cars?
I just love the fact that they just both pick up a bike and are fighting it like the Mandy chainsaw sequence. Yeah. And I gotta say, it's so funny that the way that the main baddie goes out is a brain hemorrhage, essentially.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You've been punched about 10 times by Brian Lee alone. I think everybody would get a brain hemorrhage, brain bleeding by that alone.
Crazy. I think it does the sort of what you want in an action film from our lead is that he constantly struggles his way through stuff and not... I can't stand like these perfect action heroes who there's no threat other than maybe like the tropes that you have is like he's always the one in charge, can mow through everyone. As soon as you get to the bad guy who has too many people and then he's also there, then you're beaten, and then at the mercy of them yapping their fucking your ears off with their plan, you get a chance to escape. None of that bullshit. We are just fighting because you killed this person, you kidnapped that, like that. We got all the strings, and then, we got the fucking marionettes, right? They're all hooked up, and then we just like pull them. We pull them over and over, and they like slap against each other, and then they're still fucking dancing on their own little things. It's like, oh my god. It is at the highest caliber. This like the movements they do in this is for me the highlight. I think was the fight between Wang Wai and Mattia, because he has like this machete or like this sort of I think it's a machete or like some bench,
like two machetes. That's the point. Yeah.
And they're like, it's almost like, let's bring it to the young people. You got like 2 Minecraft blocks, right? And you can crouch, and then you're like shorter than like 1 full block. And this whole fight feels like they're crouching in the height of what they're doing, but they're still jumping up like an over the like sort of, he swings at him, he jumps over, he goes back down, but it's still the one that's like, they're not completely standing. And like, it's a sword fight back and forth because one of them has one, the other one hasn't. But it's like evading and making these little movements to get to each other. I think that was like, from when it comes to stunt performances, that was probably the best fight in the movie to me. It was so good. Like it's like a 2-minute, I think it's like almost 2-minute long sequence. It's incredibly impressive how long it all goes on for too. That one's incredible.
We've talked about this before, like a lot of times with, your story can be low if your action is very good, but then you are certainly capped at a certain rating. This movie arguably does have a thin story as well, but it is the utilization of your emotional story beats in this that elevate this movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you make Wang Wei, my character, a mute, for example, and it's just like, hey, why must I go back to China? Why can't I stay here with you? And like the only thing that he does is like take his cap off and put it on her. And like, again, tiny moment. You could easily put like a whole dialogue in there, but the movie doesn't. And I think that's also leaning into the movie's strength of knowing what it is. We don't need this long ass monologue or something like this. At a certain moment, they are trying to in that final fight, but it just gets interrupted by our big bad Donkey Kong in that sequence.
You know what? If this movie were remade in the States, Brian Lee's character probably would be fucking Vin Diesel. So it's like the Furious sort of works out with the bald head. Imagine how sauceless an American remake of this would be. How it wouldn't have anything going for it. It's a bit disappointing because still at the box office, like this movie didn't do too well. It will be one that flies under the radar for a ton of people. And for that, I'm quite happy that I'm not having a look at the rest of my rank list for the year, but at least for this moment, in the middle of July, potentially in 2 weeks' time when we do our best of the year, I'll reconvene at that point. It is my favorite film of the year so far. It is fucking such a great fucking time. And it, like this time last year, I did see Splitsville, and that was at the top, and I was like, also had some action bits, but the comedy really landed for me. By the end of the year, it was like at spot number 7. So it moved down quite a bit. I don't like this movie. I think is gonna be in my top 5 probably by the end of the year. And there's some like really, really highly anticipated. Like I haven't seen the Odyssey yet. Dune is still coming out, and then we got Martin McDonough. I'm a bit like on Digger. I don't know.
We'll who knows? Who knows, right?
Yeah, but like there's a shit ton of great films, but I think this one deserves its spot at like in my top 10 at least, if not my top 5 of the year. It's that great.
For sure.
I also think it is apart from like I did love the third John Wick film, Parabellum. And funnily enough, there's the tie-over with the Indonesian actors too in that one.
Yeah.
Are they Indonesian or are they Thai? I don't know. Because it's an Indonesian film, but maybe Yayan Ruyan is in West Java.
Indonesian,
yeah. And then like Fury Road is up there for me, but like Fury Road has more of a story going. For pure action, I think this lives up to like The Raid. It really is like that, and so this is sort of like the best action film in the last 15 years to me.
I don't remember which movie I put it in. I wrote my review with, but it's like I want to see this type of like choreography action style more, but at the same time it is done so precariously, it is done so immaculately, it is so detailed and well done by Kensuke Tsunomura that at the same time, like, do I want to see it anywhere else? Like, I kind of want him to stay in that box and just keep experimenting. Just let his imagination go wild. You know how Shetzahelski had that supposedly notebook with all crazy things that he wants to do in his career. If Kensuke Tsunomura had that like little notebook as well, let him go. Like let him fly it off with it. What I forgot to say is Brian Lee. It's so funny to see him in this movie and also known that he's the bodyguard with the butt plug inside of him in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, that's him.
That's him.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I just think this is an incredibly talented cast that we'll have on the look. Like, we've already watched movies with Joe Duslim, with Yayan Royan. We'll watch if there's more of Brian Lee as well as Gio Mao. And we've like we said, like, we've reviewed these Iki films as well on the channel.
Yep.
You find reviews for them. I don't know if they're clipped, but you definitely find the reviews for them. And we continue to check out when they have new films to see what.
I certainly will. If they're good enough, I'll like shove them to Ewan.
Yeah. I think it's crazy to me. Just an note as well that, like, TIFF has had a bunch of bangers this year. Like, Obsession was there. The Invite wasn't at Sundance, so that was earlier this year. But this one was also last year, and I think, like, maybe I'm, by the time TIFF comes around, because we're so close to, like, Venice, and I want to stay on Venice, and I don't want to get the FOMO of not going to TIFF, that I sort of don't pay that much attention. I feel like TIFF is also so much more that it feels a bit less focused to actually talk about the best stuff, because they're also doing, like, oh, this is a TIFF movie, even though it premiered at Cannes, right? That's how a lot of people still engage it. It's like, oh, it doesn't exist until it premieres in North America or some shit like that. I feel like a lot of stuff sort of does get lost in the shuffle, and I guess a reminder for me to pay closer. You did, but like a reminder to pay closer attention to what people are raving about at TIFF, because there's just so much that, like, there's a couple more safe bets. Venice is a bit more the film festival-esque movie, like the sort of more Oscar contenders, and TIFF has the audience players too. Like, they sort of try to do both.
But
right?
hey, for example, a Motor City still appears at Venice.
And about to come out in like a couple
in
of weeks.
August, I think. So yeah, you'll finally be able to see that elevator fight sequence in Motor City, like I've been thinking about ever since too, as well. Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps it up for a very in-depth discussion of The Furious. I hope, if you haven't seen it yourself, you go check it out after this. Really hope we didn't spoil the movie for you, but it's also just like, we can't really spoil a movie, an action movie you gotta experience.
We might describe the scenes, but the scenes are still like insane to watch on their own. Like, whatever we say, it doesn't do justice to what you're seeing on screen.
No, it's also I love the score too, because the score is like, I'm not giving any fucks about like this thematically, like what's the emotion here. It's just doom doom doom. It's like, it's just on the same beat of like your heartbeat as you're like watching the scene unfold. We both gave it a 9.5 out of 10. For me, I think I'd say it's my favorite film of the year so far. For you?
Look, man, there's this little movie called Hope that I also fucking adore.
Okay.
Funnily enough, Hope and The Furious were my two, like, number 1 and 2 most anticipated movies. Both movies have delivered. Number 3 is Wild Horse 9. I'm just saying, like, I hope my top 3 like it's actually a full knockout.
That is a pretty solid list, like, from the film with the 2 that we've seen so far with Wild Horse 9. I would be surprised. It would be for me, it would be a disappointment if Wild Horse 9 is not in my top 5 at the end of the year. Top 10 is like, that makes sense. If it's not in my top 5, it's a slight disappointment. I really have high expectations for that.
Do you quickly want to know your top 3? Do you remember?
I haven't updated in a while, and I think I still have Remake in there for a long time. Oh, you mean you most anticipated was Dune?
Yeah, it's Dune Part 3, it's Werewolf, and then you have Look Back and Sheep in the Box, which Sheep in the Box is your stinker there. I mean, technically,
I think like, also Look Back has a ceiling that shouldn't be. I kind of made a mistake there. Honestly, if I could change it, I would probably put.
Well, you have the Odyssey just behind there.
I was about
Disclosure
to say,
Day is your number 5.
That was also. I don't know why I had it up there that much, because like
number 6 is Power Ballad. We both had that pretty high. Yeah. The Chaperones, Flame Union, which I hope comes out this year. Jack of Spades, and then you have Behemoth, and Wild Horse 9 is your number 11. Just to say,
Yeah, I think you described it in a similar way of like, these movies are going to be solid, and I'm like sort of then my anticipation is more like, what's the sort of how far can it shoot up. You know.
And just to embarrass myself as well, I had Paper Tiger at number 6. Next movie.
Check out a review and to see like this boy as close to tears as he's ever been.
Bro, I was devastated. Blades of the Guardians. Dao Ma, a bounty hunter, takes job to protect a man on the long road to the city of Shangan. However, he discovers the person he's protecting the Empire's most wanted bounty, Zi Lang. Now every greedy faction is after them. It is kind of insane. We've been talking about Ridley Scott, the fact that he's, directing at this late of his age. We've been talking about Scorsese, who's directing at this late age. We've been talking about Spielberg, who is now almost 80. How about this guy, John Woo Ping, 81 years old, and directing a movie like this? Again, like, if I'm 80 and I'm doing shit like this at this age, I would be ecstatic. I would be happy. Ewan, what do you think about Blades of the Guardians?
I mean, it was one of those films that premiered during the Chinese, the Lunar New Year, right? So you have that weekend where a ton of films come out early in the year. If you follow the box office pundits, they're gonna they have China basically be the global leader at least for a couple of months until like some US production takes over. That's what it is every year, right? In February.
Pegasus 3 wasn't that it this year?
Hi Mom a couple of years back did really well, I think, in that same time slot. But this one, also comes with a production budget of like 700 million RMB, which is like 100 to 120, 130 million US dollars. So like it has a pretty respectable budget too, a huge cast, a vast selection of set pieces. A lot of it is like sort of set in the like desert, so that's a bit easier to sort of do in. It's a bit simpler that way, but it also goes through like a lot of costumes too. I really love the design of like the antagonizing forces in that orange-ish tint. I think that looked sick. And then you got I would say like a wuxia western that's partly very much inspired by Fury Road. And a lot of people, when they talk about action, they can mention, is it the next John Wick? Or is it like Fury Road? It was like non-stop action. Like that's the way they talk about it. But this one literally has a moment that is like 1-to-1 from like Fury Road. So you can't really like that. It's literally what it is. Like it also has towards the end there like a moment that's like literally Die Hard too, like shooting yourself through. Like that sort of thing. It definitely has like I don't know how much of these influences that it wears on its sleeve, but it does its own thing as well, and has for me like. Often a problem with these like action films, these wuxia films, is that there's, for me, few too many characters to follow when I would like just a bit more of a protagonist when it's always a selection of people, and then we got our lead and a lot of people around them. I was still quite entertained. You can see where they spent the money. It's some great action choreography and all that. You can see that they're like hold on wider shots to fully show us the stunts, and they're not incredibly cut up. They let them. It's great stuff. I think it's a bit goofy, but it's kind of epic still. It has some very goofy moments, but
I know what you're talking about, and I think it's just purely the fact that it is based on a popular Chinese graphic novel series.
Right.
I mean, so those like sort of those animated moments, can you say, those long monologues, like how we were talking about the fact that it doesn't have any monologues. Well, here it sort of does. There are characters that are a bit more comedically goofy, like you said, especially the wannabe Khan at the end, to the point that you're almost on the verge of just being pure cringe to me at the moment. But then the other side, just production design, you can see where the money went to, and it is quite funny the fact that our next review is an Aki movie. So you are actually sort of looking at two different wuxia movies, just like on the other end of the spectrum, high budget blockbuster action movie, and then you have the direct-to-video movie, and it is quite like you can see the difference. Like the difference is so big and huge.
Yeah, this is like the mid-December release in the States, the big holiday movie, like an Avatar. This is a time slot where you and this is that movie that gets released then, and then we got the straight to streaming like Netflix-esque film next that's still operating in the same sort of lane. Also shares a like word with Blade in the title. Too.
But the lead actor in this, Wu Jing, is one of those actors that maybe not a lot of people might know, but he has been the lead in many of these Chinese action movies over the years.
Yeah, the Battle of Lake Changcheng I've seen.
Whether it's The Wandering Earth.
That one was
Battle
huge,
of Lake Xing. Yeah, so he's been pretty popular with the Chinese demographic. I don't know if he's been popular here. I mean, I know he's been in The Mummy, Meg 2.
I think for a lot of these Chinese action heroes, there's not a lot of like a bridge to like even bigger films. But then the question is like, do you even want that? Because there's a massive audience in China, right? Where you are like similar to all Indian films too, where I think India has a bit more of a stronghold on an actual community who goes seek out these films. I always see them in the box office reports that, at least in the like per theater count, the Indian movies do quite well. A lot of them are like these action films too. And then, they did try with Ne Zha 2 last year to bring that over. Or was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it didn't work with A24, right? So I think there's like a limited interest for these types of stories, especially because the goofy parts feel like, I think the goofiness of some sort of subsection of Japan is way more embraced than like this sort of mythical side of China. And so I think that like there's a bit of a disconnect because I feel like the influence on Japanese stuff, there's more of like a community who seeks that stuff out. But I come here for the action, and the action sort of delivers in parts. And I think it's like has like a bunch of like skip moments with yapping in between, and then we got fights, and then the fights are pretty like it's that type of action film. I mean, can I skip the dialogue?
I think we both have our favorite actions fight sequences. I mean, we do open with Jet Li, and it is quite great as someone who has seen Expendables. If you have seen those early, like I literally grew up. There was like a channel, like I've told the story before on the podcast, but when I was woke up early as a 7-year-old, I would always watch the movie of the night before, and that was usually the man's channel. You have like a channel that's more centered towards females, and then you have one more that's more centered towards males, where you have the action movie. Now I always woke up to those Jason Statham's, do those Jet Li action movies of like the mid 2000s, and it is great to see Jet Li again, and he still has it. He still has it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they've done to maybe with wire work, maybe with undercranking, overcranking, whatever it is that they do on the set. But he still looks quite fast. It's just, there is like a little bit of overabundance with the characters. And there is another movie, Blade of Fury, a few years ago, like an Ikea movie, that does have a lot of characters as well that, when they do side text or they have a very typical characteristic of them. But in Blade of Fury,
with their weapon,
everybody is different with the weapons, with their costumes, and every fight in that one felt a little bit more like a boss fight, like those in those video games. Like, oh, here's the boss fight that you have to get to the next chapter. And I was perhaps missing that, maybe in the sense of not getting rid of that, but maybe just making a few characters more central, stand out a little bit more. They do change up weapons in this. He will have, a long stick. He will have, wielding 2 weapons instead of just the regular sword, especially at the end. But I gotta say, the action, whether it's in the oil field, I do think that was one was the standout. And again, it is tough to have fire in the background the entire time. That's where also a lot of the money is being spent. You have that sandstorm sequence, which, again, like that is tough to pull off. People in a sandstorm, I mean, you have Dune. There's also, I gotta admit, sometimes like a quite Dune light score running through that sandstorm sequence.
Yeah,
I have to admit,
a lot of it is
but it's sometimes like,
there's also the moment where they're like facing each other, they're about to fight, and then the sand like just washes them sort of away. It was like, I thought it was like an incredibly epic moment. It's like the timing on that, like it's digital, but like it doesn't feel digital. It's like, it has a lot of epic moments. But I think even maybe maybe even one too many, in a sort of thing where like everything feels epic. There's no like by the time we get around to actually those final fights, and then a lot of that final thing is the main villain who's like yapping his ear off, ears off. It's like, and his plan, and then everyone on his side, and then like he goes back and forth with like someone else, and like it's already setting up like a future installment, and I felt that towards the end. I was like, oh, okay.
Doesn't surprise me knowing it's based on a graphic novel though, because like it is very popular, seemingly. Who knows?
The guy who he interacted with too. when he said, yeah, we'll come back and have a drink together or something like this. Oh, that guy's dead. That guy's so dead. It's like a lot of this stuff where it was like immediately clear what's going to happen.
I will say though, the guy you're talking about who plays Old Mo, I think his character name is, who is being played by Tony Long Kafai, was the bad guy in Jackie Chan's Shadow's Edge of last year as well. So, again, like one of those other very famous Chinese actors.
I looked at the people and not a lot of them were like familiar to me, but I was like, ooh, like how attractive they look. It makes sense. All of these are stars. Like it felt like such a star-studded cast as well.
What would you get rid of in this movie, perhaps to, because I think perhaps that whole triangle affair. I just think because bro, it's like you already have a wife. Maybe you just want to kill the ex-wife instead of kidnapping her and making her wife instead of the woman that's besides you already. Like maybe change something in the script that would maybe shave off 10 minutes of your movie.
Yeah, I think it's a bit hard to like restructure this movie because it feels like it's building to this. I guess it's locked in there. So I don't know what I would make like some easy change that would just cut stuff.
No, but for example, instead of the other bounty hunter making it fight, you make the woman fight the woman, and then so you have that dichotomy.
That whole like other bounty hunter thing that's also after them, and then the woman like who's chained up, right? That's a whole like plot that I don't think that part is like I like that's it has the best fight that comes out of it, but so I wouldn't get rid of it, but like it's the character that you could most easily sort of cut.
Like it makes sense that they want to be in that stagecoach. By the way, that stagecoach that looks way too tiny for 6 people, but whenever interior it's like,
it's room enough.
But in terms of an epic action movie on this scale, not quite as good as maybe The Furious, but what, still a worthy entry in the action canon, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gave it a 4, and I gave it a 3.5. I think.
Am I looking forward to the sequel? I'm actually kind of am.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, I will. The thing with these movies is that like it will have another release in February, and we'll probably get them later in the year already, sort of knowing a little bit if they're any good or not. I mean, we talked about this film when it came out in February too, that it was doing well financially. I think like did quite well at the box office.
Well, another movie that can't do well at the box office because it goes straight to streaming.
Iki. That's The Butcher's Blade, directed by Liu Wenpu, a movie most similarly, I guess, to the streaming films that land directly on Hulu, on Netflix, on like those types of streaming services, straight onto Iki. But the difference is that I think a lot of these action films sort of really indulge in what they are and wear that wholeheartedly on their sleeves, whereas the Netflix films feel a bit more constrained with like needing to hook you in a certain amount of minutes and then reiterating the plot a lot. And not to say that this movie doesn't yap way too much and over-constructed story, but it also sort of still delivers an action. But we'll talk about it. Kevin, you liked it way more than I did, but let's talk about what it is first, I guess. A low-ranking constable faces persecution, becomes a scapegoat in a theft case, and gets rescued by his teacher. Now caught between serving corrupt officials or fighting for freedom, he must choose his path. Kevin, what did you think of The Butcher's Blade?
I'm just going to say I straight up disagree with you in terms of, like in the show notes, you have revenge porn type shit. I don't think this movie is that, because it does have a story in the sense of you have someone who is a bum. He does encounter people of the past, and he's like, you know what, I'll join you. I kind of want to get back to the old ways of me. And then he's like, oh wait, maybe y'all aren't actually good but bad. And then it's like, I'll rise up to the people here that I've actually underappreciated. And again, it's like we said, story wise, it's low key at the bottom. In terms of all the action movies that we've talked about today, this one is, in terms of story, the least, like, it's almost not even there. But in terms of the action, again, in terms of these direct-to-video movies on Iki, I will say this one is a little bit on the higher end of the actions things. Maybe not as good as Eye for an Eye. Maybe not as good as Blade of Fury. Maybe, hell, not even as good as Fight Against Evil 3 or any of the other one that I saw in the past that I've maybe rated higher than this one.
I watched, it's lesser than all of those, but the ones that you watched, it's better than, like, because you watched some shit stuff on Iki? Or what's your point?
No, for example, this movie is even better than the other Iki movie that I watched this week. Called Wings of Dread.
But not the stuff that I've seen, because you listed the ones that I've seen and said it's.
No, I'm actually talking about a lot of the stuff. I don't think you've seen Fight Against Evil 3, which is starring the lead of the Furious. So if you want to catch up on that. Again, sort of has that baby assassins fighting style in there as well. But I quite like, for example, what they're doing with the impact hits. So every hit here sort of feels a little bit heavier than the other Iki movies. For example, you have a few Mortal Kombat animations in there that was like, oh yeah, that's a nice addition. They don't do it throughout the movie to the point that it feels annoying, but whenever they do it, it's like, oh yeah, nice. Or just even regularly, like a little bit of a camera shake, a little bit of an extra hump in the sound design. I will say I like that. And then I gotta say, this movie, sort of like The Furious, goes from fight to fight to fight to fight. Die washing fight, I thought was quite good. It just get that holds so much water. It is just quite a force that you can't even really slice with a sword. I quite like that. You have the fireworks that wasn't great, but again, it's like, okay, you have something else going for it, another element in your fight. The saving the kid fight, it's quite a thing of, with the Furious as well in the beginning. It's like, oh, the kid can be saved. And here again, he's really trying, but it's just not getting there. And you've talked about, oh, I don't want my hero to be perfect. Well, in this case, your hero isn't perfect. He's unable to save the kid. And then you have the final boss fight. By the way, the guy that he fights in the finale is also one of the generals, or like one of the other clan leaders in Blades of the Guardian. So it really goes to show this ecosystem of Chinese actors and within the action genre. And some characters maybe don't indeed hit. There is a mentally disabled character in this movie that's just a little bit over the top. It's like, why did you have to make him mentally disabled and just be like, 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 I get that he's been tortured, etc., but it just feels a little bit out of place. But for the rest, I gotta say, I had a pretty good time with this. We talk about how these streaming movies have movies, that hit the bar or are below it. I think in terms of key movies, this one just is above the bar.
Yeah, I just thought the lead was such a cuck. Like, it spends such a long time. Like, when he holds up the fucking goalpost and gets hit over and over with the ball again. It's
just not the sentence that I thought I expected to hear. Sorry.
He gets hit like 15 or 20 times with that ball. And I was like, just the setup. He was standing there for like 10 minutes getting shot at and nothing else was happening. And he just like, and that's, and instead of giving us the beat, it gives us the beat 20 times. And it does that sort of in the whole story where everything is overdone, overwrought, explained.
Yeah, but he's doing soy sauce.
Exactly. And that's why I wrote down the revenge porn type shit, because it is, oh my God, look at him having to do this. And then that comes back. And then that moment where I wrote down in my notes, that's why, like, it's in the show. It's just, like, I didn't finish my notes because, like, I wrote those two things. I wrote two things. And then I was like, I can't be bothered. I don't like this film. I think I thought the action was way too cut apart. Like, there was so many cuts in this. I really didn't like it.
I will agree with you on how the action is sometimes cut. But again, we've been talking about this is a direct-to-video movie, and
What did you feel like they're stretching the time?
No, but it's sometimes you can see them taking shortcuts. And again, with a movie like this, I don't mind taking the shortcut as long as it doesn't fully disrupt it. And maybe at 1 or 2 times it did, but other times it didn't for me. So in terms of
for me, it cut the whole movie apart because you're working on a lesser budget. You can do less action. You can do more talk thing that's longer. But then the talk thing is to me like, oh my god, I like it. It really made me care about nothing in this world. It's a really, really brutal world to exist in, and I think the whole story of this guy who sort of, I honestly was also lost in the plot of like how he gets from the beginning thing of he was already betrayed there, right? Like something corrupt, like he did something right. Was sort of fucked for that. Was fucked for a while. I don't know how long it is. I probably missed like if it said like...
No, it's just that he's at the lowest point in society. He's basically a peasant. He's basically a bum. He's basically one of those people that at the end, the leader or whatever you're saying, like killed him. Like, you know?
Like, you know, you've described in a couple of our gun reviews, because I finished the edits there. You were saying sometimes that it feels like this was sort of to teach some, like, to show a class. And I always sort of disagreed with that take, but I didn't always say, but it's fine. It's no big deal. But
wait, no, which take?
Like the Garance, for example, another day you thought like, oh, that's a sort of PSA for not drinking, and I think you said it in one or two other films. I just because I've been mentally going insane editing those. It's at the front of my mind right now. But like for this, I also feel like it shows you doing the right thing. If the wrong structures are there, you still get fucked. You try to do the wrong, then you do the wrong thing, right? You still get fucked. All you can do is sort of fight against it, and it's not a clear message, but it felt like that was sort of what it was going for. That ultimately you do have to stand up and fight for what's right, sort of thing. I was just like so uninterested in this.
Yeah,
it really lost me. I honestly don't have much else to say about it then.
But again, I feel like that's also the subjectiveness of these streaming movies. It's like, what are you coming to these streaming movies for? Do they fulfill that urge? And if we are comparing again this movie to the other 2 movies that we talked about, Blades of the Guardians is indeed much better than this movie. To Fuse is much better than these 2 movies. So it really does feel like we sort of funneled towards the lower categories of action movies, especially Chinese action movies, this episode. But it still fulfilled my need for that action, and it is still pretty well done. So I still give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it still gets right around the average, pretty mid, a 2.5 out of 5.
Enough with the Chinese action movies. Let's go to something a little bit more, fun.
Let's do something fun and talk about a comedy that did release on VOD. Was this briefly out in theaters too? I forget, Kevin.
I have no clue. What I did see is that this movie had a massive festival run. I mean, if you go to Letterboxd and go to the releases, this movie just debuted about every, I don't know, USA film festival there possibly is. Also went to the UK, Australia, Switzerland, apparently, Ireland, etc., etc. This movie recently released on VOD. We both managed to catch it, and I gotta say, Ewan, it's been rather. I mean, I know a lot of movies that haven't released yet, but it's been rather a good year for queer cinema, and this one can be right in that line of movies, right?
And I think when you look at the States, because like I don't think a lot of European countries sort of time release dates of like queer stories to Pride Month, but it felt like there was a bit like another film that isn't. I think it's also not in Belgium. Leviticus didn't come out. That one premiered at Sundance this year, or a TIFF, and is out now. And this one, She's the He, basically takes a story that could be, if you look at the premise, sort of problematic, or it could even like sort of in the right-wing rhetoric be sort of the fears that they have, which is sort of funny on itself. But then I think it's more, I don't know if you've seen But I'm a Cheerleader, but like it takes the piss out of these things a bit more. It is bringing you in on the inside joke so much that it's very endearing, and then also it is produced, directed, written, cast, and starring like actors and actresses who like fit into the criteria of being able to talk about these stories like naturally and organically and from their own experience. And then it feels really natural and lived in, and the comedy sort of hits, and it has a right to like sort of express these topics that would otherwise probably not be able to be like talked about in such nuance, but also with the comedy paired with it, I think that would be a bit harder to do. And then the premise of this is just before graduation, Ethan and Alex pose as trans women in a last-ditch effort to quell gay rumors. It's all a joke until Ethan realizes she is trans. The two must reckon with their changing friendship, coming out, and coming of age. And I mean, that really sums up the movie. It really is like then a selection of these gags that sort of overdoes the thing, like, no man, everyone thinks we're gay, man. It's like, it's playing into these tropes in such a fun way. It also reminded me of Ayo Edebiri One Bottoms when they were like doing that Fight Club thing, but also was like the pairing of, I think a lot of, like I told you, the super bad thing where like Alex, that character seems like the what's his name?
Jonah Hill? No,
the Jonah Hill character who just wants to get laid at all costs, but he's sort of unlikable. And the other guy, Michael Cera, is the one who we are actually rooting for to sort of have a connection, or because seemingly that character is a bit more vulnerable, one bit more in touch with themselves. And I thought this movie was incredibly endearing and very funny. Like, I just had a great time laughing with the film.
Me too. I especially like the animated things, just to have some flair in those scenes. I really appreciated that. It's just that I'm way more invested in the character of Ethan than of Alex. And whenever we are with Ethan, and it's like, finally, you're having this moment, and then you keep cutting back to Alex, and it's like, no, please, for fuck's sake, stay with Ethan. And it's like, again, I don't fully love, for example, Bottoms. I think some of those issues I have with Bottoms are here as well, and I just think it's an inherent genre trope that I just don't really like with rom-coms, etc. It's like you always have to let something go wrong, and it's just I just don't really like that.
Miscommunication, right? Is usually
it's miscommunication that, and I do get that the miscommunication is this with the fact that, hey, actually Ethan is really feeling like this, and Alex isn't understanding of that. So I guess somewhere that trope does dissipate, but not fully. For me personally, also for example, then Alex always hitting on Ethan's mom. It's like, and
but that's another just, like super bad thing, right? Where he was hitting on that, like that.
American
like,
Pie. It's even older than that. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, it's isn't it also the She's All That? Like, if you look at the poster, isn't that also sort of giving the 2000s aesthetic in the way that that's written? It's like it's playing with a lot of things here, and I think the Alex role by Nico Carney is like way more unthankful for his role, because it's the one where there's no transformation, right? It's sort of a faking thing, and he's a trans man, so when that role comes in, and then Misha Ozerovich, she's a trans woman. So like there's the thing, like the progress, because in the story starts out as a cis man realizes she's a trans woman. And that journey is like one that we are easily rooting for because it's a place of self-discovery. The other one's rooted in sort of a lie, right? To get to a place of like just hooking up with Malia Pyle's character, who a guilty as charged. I would I would probably do like pretty not what Alex does here, but she's also in Cape Fear at the moment, that like redone thing there, which I'm not liking her character in that at all. Like that show is sort of losing its plot quite a bit, but I honestly enjoyed Forrest's character by Tatiana Ringsby quite a bit too. I think really grounds the movie overall to sort of give these moments, and then when there is the escalation with the jocks sort of bringing in conflict, I think that sort of stuff feels a bit forced, and the character stuff like feels like it's working the best. Like the moment of coming out to the mother when Ethan is sort of coming out to his mother Mary, which Mother Mary also like is sort of maybe a little bit of a play on Bible and like sort of additional things. Like there's some scenes, like I think some of the best scenes are given to her. Like there's a scenes where she's lying in bed and Alex comes in the room, and what she's expressing there is like something that was like, oh, this is incredibly tangible and grounded for someone who has the experience.
Already getting the pronouns right as well, might I add.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh yeah, we're not going through this hurt just to depict it on screen. That like we have a character that's no, we are still having conflict within the reality of this world without like creating tension where it doesn't need to be, because the inherent conflict of self finding yourself through this, like a lot of it was like the world is already hot. Like there's also the moments with Forrest where she's like, oh, yeah, it's pretty cool that like you when they're at the party, like it's actually pretty cool that like that you're finding yourself is like and it's actually like really great. And then she's like, well, actually it kind of sucks, but it's also kind of good, in a way. Like, yeah, you found yourself, but it's still going to suck in the world that you exist in, and like ever like doubting yourself like physically, and like that's sort of an ongoing issue that doesn't just with coming out just like goes away. And I felt that like it had the nuance and the actual it was something that was from actual experience of people that made this that really came through, and I like it. I want to see more stories like this. it was
me too.
fun.
I mean, one of my favorite scenes is when they are trying to find their costumes, and just the way they are riffing off each other. It just feels so natural.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like you have some comedic brilliance like that, and then it's like, oh, you have a character who has a car called the Dick Gobbler, and it's like, I don't just see that. That's a little bit of the American over the thing. That's just like, I didn't need this.
That's the McLovin, which isn't as iconic. But Mark Idelicato, probably sorry, I butchered his name. He's in this, and most people are probably not familiar with him. But I was like, oh my god, he's in Hacks, and he has like a recurring role in Hacks as part of Deborah Vance's team there, and so I really like him in that role, and glad he like, I thought he was in more movies. Then I checked, and like this is basically like his second movie. It's crazy. I hope he gets to do more stuff. I think it's funny.
Again, I don't think this movie is overly sentimental or something. I even think it's hitting that right on the nail. But it's just that sometimes it gets diffused by this, we have to be a comedic American coming of age and coming out tale. And then it's that's just a little bit annoyed me.
I think the push and pull between Ethan and Alex, and like how earnest and vulnerable versus I just want to fuck, like that doesn't really, it transitions less well than it does in something like Superbad, which is like probably aged badly in certain things, but as like a time capsule to that time, I think it's a perfect. It's great. I love that film, and then you can sort of take away these things that like don't age well, that like we we've changed as a society and everything. But here it's something where like these two characters like sometimes the push and pull doesn't work that well when they're on their separate journeys, but when they're together, their banter I think is where the strength lies. I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5. Really adored it, and I would love to see more movies like this. I mean, we've seen a lot of them at Cannes, and now we see a lot of them online as well. So a lot of, you mean like a lot of like queer stories were the best of Cannes.
That's what I mean.
Like and for me, I'd give this like a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I would love to like it even more. It is not right up there. You can also feel the constraints of like a small production budget here that's holding them back in a few things, but not like in a big sense. So.
Why are they in different graduation robes? Why are the boys in yellow and why? I don't know. I've never seen that. Never seen that in my life. Anyway, but sure.
Anyways,
what did you rate Bottom, for example? Because I just saw I rated Bottoms 3.5, for example.
I think I also gave Bottoms a 3.5, maybe a 4. A 4. Yeah. Like 4. Similar to this, I think they're pretty much on the same level, but with Bottoms, you do have a bit more money behind it.
That's it for the main reviews this week. Now we're quickly going to what we've been watching, and I've mentioned it already, but I watched another key movie called Wings of Dread. And the surprising thing is, hey, is that what I think it is? Is that Iko Uwais? in an Ikea movie? And it's like, oh my god. Obviously, Ashton Shen is not a stranger to these movies. Very much being in, Detective Chen, directing a few. Also, co-director of Wings of Dread with King Peng Fei, who has done most of the better Ikea movies: Blade of Fury, Fight Against Evil, Black Swan. In terms of direct-to-video directors, he's up there. But Wings of Dread was just, honestly, the way that you described Butcher Blade is how I would describe Wings of Dread. It's just very mid stuff, and it's just, I don't know what it is with direct-to-video movies being on airplanes. So you have Hijacked of last year that I watched that I thought was better than Wings of Dread. You have Fight or Flight with Josh Hartnett that I thought was better than both of those movies. And in one of the Roundup movies, the final battle sequence is in an airplane. So I don't know what it is now with action movies wanting to be in airplane movies. You do have one more shot, but that's like an entire airport, and it's one, and the movie's supposed to be in one shot. So that there, I totally get it. You have to use a large environment to keep the movie going. But Wings of Dread, I thought was solid. A lot of side characters that also were quite annoying, but then everybody sort of fighting together against the bad guys. But again, in terms of action, it is just solid stuff, not mind blowing. Ewan, physical media. It's been quite the topic the last few weeks with GTA 6. Hey, we're not releasing a disc. Sony saying, hey, from 2028, we're not doing physical media anymore. And I will say, I don't know if you've been up to date with the whole Sony physical disc, but the people are like rebelling against Sony, against PlayStation in particular.
People of Twitter? Or like the people actually? Like, does it have an impact,
like,
or is it just
every post PlayStation is doing, it's like whole comment section.
I know they haven't posted anything in like almost 2 weeks now since the post. Like, they've just been dead silent.
They have, but it's always something like, hey, here are the PlayStation Plus games of July or something, which is mandatory stuff to post for them to
I mean,
let
like,
people
no actual
know.
post.
But no actual posts. Yeah, I am one of those people that keep fighting for physical media. As Guillermo del Toro say, we are the custodians of the libraries of cinema, or something along the lines of that. Anyway, do you know what is joining that custodian library? Den of Thieves.
I was about to say 15 movies he's not gonna watch, but sorry. 50 movies he's never gonna watch, but he's keeping them.
Emily the Criminal, if one of the reasons you've heard me mention this movie quite a few times over the past few weeks is because I actually bought it. Then a few 4Ks.
When he mentions it 3 times on the podcast, it just appears in his Amazon cart. You mentioned it on the podcast 3 times and it just appears. Sorry, I'm done dogging you.
The Creator, on 4K.
Nice.
I mean, this movie just looks great. We have one battle after another on 4K, so I'm basically going to give my Blu-ray copies of one battle after another and weapons, because I bought the 4K. Then I was like, hey, Luca, do you want to buy my regular Blu-ray Dove? And it's like, sure. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. A movie that was a restoration, I think, last year or the year before. Do you remember?
Of the many Master and Commander. Yeah.
Master and Commander, Peter Weir, who we've talked about in length during our Cinematic Doppelgangers The Way Back episode. Please go check that out. That series is massively underviewed. Anyway, Man on Fire. All the talk of Man on Fire series, and I was like, actually, I don't own that movie. I should say, this movie is out of print. It was quite a struggle to find it. I basically bought it secondhand.
Yeah. By the way, I've watched the Man on Fire series. It's ass. It's bad.
Then we have 2 movies starring Katie Bates. We have Fried Green Tomatoes. Again, a movie I have never heard of, but I saw it had a 4.0 on Letterboxd, and it's like, oh, so this movie is quite highly rated. Mm-hmm. Let me add it to my collection and to the watch list. Another movie starring Katie Bates. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. A great addition starring a great Rachel McAdams performance. By the way, I should say, what do you think about the people that are adding Send Help to their top 5? It's like, it's so odd to me that people are like, oh, one of the best years of this movie, Send Help. And it's like, it was good. I don't think it's that good. I mean, I'm seeing more people put
I-
Send Help in the top 10 than Bone Temple, brother. I'm like, this is mind blowing.
I know.
To me.
Yeah, no, Send Help. It worked better for a lot of people. I think it's a bit more of a crowd pleaser with that ending too. It's like it's big.
Yeah.
It's audacious.
To people that haven't seen Twilight of Sadness, those.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Reminiscence. Now, say what you want about this movie. This movie is fucking gorgeous. The cinematography, the production design in this movie is stellar. I don't know why you're pulling that face. That's just a fact.
It's just it's my neutral face.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's how I always look.
Conan the Destroyer, I think a remake of this, or is he doing a return to this? I don't even remember at this point, but it's one of the breakout roles of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I now have it. The Royal Hotel is a movie that I watched at Film Fest again. Did quite like. I don't know. The Australian Outback is quite cursed because it's like, oh yeah, in the Australian Outbacks only creeps live there, and this movie actually adds to that theory.
Yeah,
I must say. We have Hard Eyes, a movie that I have not yet seen, but I will now.
It's fun.
Was very cheap. Yep. The Outpost. This is a movie that I missed in theaters, and I was like, I'm gonna wait until that movie is like $5. And guess what? It was $5. And then last but not least, you tell me I don't watch series? How about I bought Big Little Lies?
Yeah, you don't watch series. You just own a series now. It doesn't change around. You're not watching any series. Sorry, Kevin. Can you handle being called out?
Hey, but
I
this is the
too.
limited series. Hey, this is the limited series. This is the exception to the rule.
I haven't seen that one, so can't even dog you too much.
Haha. I'll watch it before you.
Sure. Sure. Hey, I also haven't seen The Pit. Maybe you should watch it before me.
Sure, bro. It's not like you have been raving about that.
What? The Pit? No, I'm talking about a different Pit.
Anyway, Lim, what have you watched this week? Wait, I can actually just ask you. How was Girls Like Girls? Because I thought that one dropped on VOD recently as well. Didn't have time to get to it.
I had a lot of people were saying like, "Ooh, this is not," like I saw in Letterboxd reviews, this is not enough for a movie. And then I watched like the first 40 minutes and was like, what are people talking about? This is more than enough here. This is push and pull. Like a young girl has lost her mom, is now with her dad, played by Zach Braff, who has no connection to her at all, but she has to move into like his town where he's living, where she doesn't know anyone. And sort of coming of age, realizing that she might be gay or bisexual, and then falling in love with Mira Molloy's character, who's like goes from friendship to maybe something more. But that like her character really isn't open to act on that because she's so afraid of like how will people react. It's based on Hayley Kiyoko's actual like. When she came out in 2014, like she's a musician, had then in 2015 really popular hit that's called Girls Like Girls. You heard the tune if you existed then. It was really big back then. And I watched the music video just before we started recording, and it's basically the story of this movie. And then I think people were saying like, oh, it's not expanding on that. The music video ends with like them sitting by the pool, which is like literally like slight spoilers for this, but it's literally the ending shot of them, like one of them resting the head on the other, and then it just goes to black, fades to black, and credits come. But like in the music video, the guy who she's like dating rips the other girl away, and like they full on like go in an all out fight. It's very cringy and over the top, and like it's very different that way. But it sort of captures the sort of like not being sure about like if the other person's into you, and sort of like slightly getting closer, and there's not a lot of plot that happens, and I think that's what people were talking about. I think that was more than enough, and then it sort of drags it out a bit too much, where like by the end of it, it did feel like there was some stuff left on the table where it doesn't really get into any sort of thing specifically in emotion. It just captures like a feeling and then drags that feeling out the whole time. I think the performances are really stellar. I didn't really get what I was frustrated with as well, is like it's set in the mid 2000s, so they're like on these old messengers as well, like the same that they used in Diddy and like, you know, back in those days, back in that movie. But the messaging there, it works well. But the question is like the way that they behave feels a bit more of its current generation than it feels like it was like from 15 years ago. So there was a bit of a disconnect that way, where I didn't really get why this movie needed to be told back then, because there's also problems that exist that don't exist anymore. So why are you lingering in these spaces of this like not being accepted? It is in like rural Oregon, so even if you would set this maybe like but Oregon is sort of maybe
to remind people
place.
like, hey, there once were these problems, but
exactly.
Yeah, no.
But like I think we've sort of moved past of like needing these queer stories always to be the trauma of non-acceptance. I think it's way more interesting if there's some sort of self-rooted self-hatred of not yourself. Like, and the lead character has a lot of moments where it's very disconnected. She's like full on bursting, crying, running off, and that happens like 4 or 5 times in this film, and it's like a couple times too many where I can't take her seriously because it feels like an overreaction to what she's experiencing. And it's like you could have that character burst out that way, but it needs to be like rooted in the story, and it's not really. So like it lost me a bit. I really wanted this movie to be better than it is, and like to prove people wrong that were like giving it pretty low ratings. It has a 3.2 on Letterboxd, but and like some really like low ratings by some people. But I gave it a 3.25 out of 5, like 6.5 out of 10. I think it's got some great moments in between, but yeah, lost me a bit overall.
Talk about posters, with She's the He of like 2000 ass looking.
Yeah.
I gotta say that the poster for Driver's Ed is quite 2000 looking ass, man.
Well, you know how old the director of this movie is?
Oh, tell me.
It's one of the Farrelly brothers, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Peter Farrelly is the one who always is like the guy who gives me a lot of likes on Letterboxd, because I like he made that football movie, and I wrote this is directed by a guy who still calls it soccer, and there's hundreds of likes on that one. It's really easy to clown on that guy. And then here it's again like, a guy who's almost 70 writing about a bunch of like teen kids and like him making a road trip. And then at one point in this story they realize, oh, we got phones, we could be tracked, and then they want to drop the phones at some point to return to them later, and they think it's a good idea to on a bridge like put it like on like a thing on a ledge like by the water, and then they drop it and it falls into the water. And then it cuts back to like Kumail Nanjiani and Molly Shannon. He's the driver's ed teacher and she's the principal, going like and then they go offline. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like teenagers would never turn off their phones, and it's like them crashing out about like destroying the phones. And it's very much a 70-year-old guy. That, like, it's probably not. I don't know. He's not the writer. It's someone else. But I don't even. It feels very disconnected from this.
I mean, it's like with Spielberg.
generation.
We talked about it with Disclosure Day.
Yeah,
sometimes,
but But I think you got like a cast here that is serviceable enough. I think the lead guy, Sam Nivola, is like pretty unbearable. Like, not him as an actor, he's fine, but like the way that he's written, he's this guy who's like so in love with his girlfriend who is already off to college, and it makes the very relatable thing of him being a writer and like a creative, and then like there's another girl who's also sort of creative, and realizing that maybe the girl right next to him is the one who's good for him, and not the one that's maybe off to like a college and a different place where he's sort of planning to go to that same college but a year after her. It's all sort of like really dragged out. Like it really does every stereotype of a movie like this, like to the beat as well, with like this a public speech moment, like a lot of these like comedy, like this is more comedy than a rom-com, but the sort of tropes of these early 2000s. I mean, you called it out in the poster. It is like that early 2000s type of comedy that mixes it with the new generation of that lingo, and it's not really funny, but it wasn't horrible either. Like, it was fine. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's not horrible. It's just also not very good.
You do have watched a lot of older stuff, and you wrote in the show notes, skip.
I did.
I kind of want to hear.
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear your thoughts on Killer with Sheep, because I've been quite interested in checking out Charles Burnett movies, especially after James Earl Jones died. I was like, The Annihilation of Fish. I need to watch that, and I just never have.
Yeah.
So how was Killer with Sheep? To talk to me about that one at least.
You know what? Shout out to Carsten Runquist. He did mention it in his what he watched in June, and I was like, wait, I thought I had this movie on my watch list. I've never seen it. It's on the Criterion channel. And it's literally really short. Like it's like 80 minutes, so there's no excuse for me to not put on Like if it's under 90 minutes, honestly, like it's a crime to not watch it. So I watched it, and it is like a very poetic film. Yeah, you caught. It's a very poetic film that I think I sort of really had to warm up for. And unfortunately, when I say it's only 80 minutes, this is like, there was a plethora of stuff going on. I think there was like a football match that we cared about, at least I was forced to watch, or like some stuff. Then like I got calls, and like I was interrupted like 5 times during this film, and it didn't help. And then in one of the best moments during the film, I had to pause, and I came back to the film, and I was like, it took like a blink of a blink of a second is, I think, no expression, but like a really like no time at all. And I was in that scene, and I felt like a deep emotion of what was going on right there. It was like two characters dancing, and one of them lingering a bit longer than the other. And it's what a lot of people have described as like this neo-realism from really popularized for the neo-realism, like the Italian one, sort of arriving here in the States, especially in these like Black communities, and capturing sort of an essence of truth. And I think this movie is incredibly miserable, and I think it also says in the like a dissatisfied and listless existence of its lead character, and it is quite
Love how we both dying.
I'm not crying, I just had to cough. But this movie also gets
we're almost there. We're almost there.
Oh my god, now I'm turning red. No, I think this movie didn't get me emotionally. Now I look like it got me emotionally, but I think it captures something really, really true in its essence of humanity, and like some sort of despair in the like fleeting non-meaning, like this nothingness of connecting but also not connecting, and so much like, I don't know, it's very poetic. It's like really hard to describe in words what this movie does well. And by the end of it, I was like, no, I watched something really artful that moment to moment, I don't know if I enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed watching this at all, but it felt like, oh my god, I just experienced like a poem sort of wash over me. So yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's a movie that like, this is more historic than maybe it needs a rating for, and I would recommend people go check it out if they can sort of it's very slow. There's not a lot of like stakes in it and story beats. It's very naturalistic. It's solid. You should check it out as well.
I will.
But I did finish the James Bond film, so I've now seen all of them. I haven't rewatched the Daniel Craig ones, but I did watch the 2 Timothy Dalton ones and the 4 Pierce Brosnan Bonds. I should still rewatch the Daniel Craig ones, but I think maybe the Dalton films, those 2 are my, like, he might even be my favorite Bond. I really like Timothy Dalton as Bond. I got no clue, because I told you, like, when we were looking up, like, why Sean Connery got another one that's sort of unofficial. I haven't read up on any of the history yet and the drama behind the scenes, and I am still interested in that. And I know, like, the reasons, like, they approached Timothy Dalton, like, way earlier, and then he said, like, he's too young to do it, and the whole back and forth there. Like, Pierce Brosnan, I think, was also approached earlier and did it later. Stuff like that makes me wonder if this, like, current next cast of Bond, will it be people that already have been in the discussion for, like, years and years, or if it'll be someone completely new. It's really still up in the air.
Didn't the casting director, like, sort of wimp away the rumors of, like, oh yeah, no Lordy, no Callum Turner? Which I found strange, because again, I think Callum Turner would be the perfect James Bond.
Perfect. Literally perfect.
By the way, they're looking for someone who can carry a few movies. Callum Turner is literally that perfect age for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shout out Rose.
I would still love one Idris Elba James Bond movie, but we'll never get that.
That as well.
Oh, well.
Give us a one-off. You know, give us like who like they want to milk this franchise anyways. What?
Yeah, I know.
They want to milk this franchise anyways. Like the Phoebe Waller-Bridge thing, right? There was rumored with a female Bond. Like, if they want to expand it, sure, then expand it as well and give us like a more diverse, like a new take on this. Having watched all of them, more than half of them are like they got big action set pieces, but they're dog shit movies. And like they're entertaining. They're entertaining. Like none of them are like horrible. Whereas some of the books are just like so incredibly racist.
Can I ask which one?
What?
Which one is the most shit?
Let's do a live check.
Yeah, I haven't even asked you this question off stream, so I'm off recording.
Hey, chat.
That was cringe, bro. I'm quite curious to know your answer, actually.
Die Another Day. I think that's widely seen as the worst one too. I think that, like the Pierce Brosnan one, followed by Diamonds Are Forever. Those two are probably
No
the worst.
Quantum of Solace. You know how Quantum of Solace gets the reputation of being the worst one?
I haven't. The thing is, I never rated Quantum of Solace because
with the rewatch.
I haven't rewatched it yet. Yeah. And I'm just checking. I never rated it on Letterboxd. So for me at the top, it's still Casino Royale. But no movie of like I've given one Bond movie a 4-star. Everything is like 3.5 or lower. So I don't think these are great movies. They're entertaining movies, but yeah. It's been really interesting. Maybe I like the game more than any of these games.
I think Casino Royale is still the best one.
I think so as well. Like it's pretty easily like the one that sort of
Skyfall also as well. Like, well, one of them should at least be a 4.5, something high. Come on, man.
I gave Spectre a 3. So that was a 2015.
Well, I wasn't talking about that one, you know.
The thing is, I can't really I sort of lost. I can't remember if I've actually seen Spectre or if that's just because Spectre and Skyfall, in sort of my memory, in like 2018 when I first had my Letterboxd account, they're the same movie to me. So I do need to rewatch them because I don't know how present I have both of those films. So I will rewatch them, and I also got the game, and I will be playing the game, and hopefully by the end of the summer, I'll have played that game as well. I'm looking forward to it. Lachlan has played it and has praised it quite a bit, so looking forward to that.
Well, that's it for this podcast. Next week, we'll be talking about the much-awaited The Odyssey. I am seeing it in IMAX 70 millimeters. You're watching the regular IMAX screening of it, I believe.
Yeah. I got a comfy seat, but I'll have not like actual IMAX format, unfortunately. And then I'm hosting an event. I believe, is it before this next podcast comes out? It might actually be, yeah. Where I'm hosting an event called the Movie Fight Club at the Riff Raff cinema in Zurich. We'll have like their biggest theater as well, available for only 20 minutes after the film because it's such a long film. And it's usually we do these over the weekend, but we get the rare occasion where we'll get to talk about this film like on opening night. Which is going to be exciting, probably a full theater, and we'll talk about the Odyssey after. So if you're in the Zurich area, I think there's still tickets available. Then go check that out. And I did read Emily Wilson's translation. Are you still going to read the Stephen Fry one?
Shit, bro, I should hurry up. My screening is Wednesday. But
and I got this chunker left because I also am interested in reading the prequel, the Iliad. But I'm doing the thing of like audio book. And then also this probably, and I'll actually be reading this tonight. So probably not the whole thing because it's a long book, but I'm seeing it Tuesday actually. I'm seeing the Odyssey
reading
Tuesday.
A book instead of watching England Norway. Yes. What a pathetic loser.
Dude,
anyway,
England Norway, Switzerland Argentina is tonight. I'm sleeping. Then so.
The week after, we are finally doing the best films of 2026 so far, which will include The Odyssey then. And the week after, we are talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Before that, because we are not going to include all the best stuff that we've seen in Gun in that best of 2026 so far, that video should finally also be out now that all the reviews are releasing. We also got a video going over the best things that we've seen in Gun, our collective list of like the top 10 or 15 films. So go check out that video as well.
Yep. And then we got the 2.5 centimeter barrier, which will continue because Ewan has been editing all of our Can reviews. It's finally done. He has bought the games for the Steam sale. That was his gift to himself.
I also bought some books, honestly. That too.
Also, and he bought some books. So he spent some bucks. But we are reviewing spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring. Then after that, we are doing Anyara. Don't know what Ewan's pick is after, but hey, subscribe and stay tuned for that one. Ewan, that'll be it. We've talked about a lot today.
And I'm not even mad about it. Couldn't be less furious that we got to talk about like that film for like 45 minutes. I think we went into great detail of one of the best films of the year so far. So hopefully you take away some, we could have talked, we didn't mention it even. Evil Dead Burn and Moana came out this week. But I had two times, like I skipped the press screening. They didn't do one for Evil Dead Burn. I was like,
also again,
I could have gone yesterday, could have gone the day before. I was like, I heard so much shit about Moana. I don't want to waste my time with this shit. Evil Dead Burn, I really want to see because I'm looking forward to it. But I might go still see it this weekend. But yeah, Moana, I'm like waiting for it to see.
I saw Luke Hirfield's video of it, and it's like, you know how you have like, you sort of have some passion to hate on a movie. Even I don't have that passion to hate on Moana. Like, oh my god, that's quite savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, you know, the hatred sort of dissipates, at least for a few people. Not with this one. It felt like this is the one where it's all built up for, like, no, here's the line that we
don't want this.
Yeah, we don't want it. But hey, if you look at the Letterboxd thing, it's got a really positive Letterboxd rating. It had an A cinema score. And I checked with my Letterboxd mutuals of, like, you know, wait, I gotta still share this before we end the episode. Right, if you go to Letterboxd, it got a 3.4 average, right, rating.
1.8 friends rating for me.
Again, yeah, exactly. That's what I was alluding to. And then the ratings for my, how do I look at the friends rating again?
You go to activity from friends.
1.7. What did you say? 1.8?
Yeah, 1.8 for me.
The highest rating I see from someone is a 2.5. Yeah, I gotta go check out Moana. And the thing is, when I go to theaters, I still get a free ticket, so I'm not paying for it. So I'm not contributing to Disney's incentive to make more of these movies. But because when I talk about it, there's an incentive for other people to go check it out. So we might just like not talk about it ever to sink that creatively bankrupt shit. But
hey, look, at least I'll finally be out of the red in the fantasy box office. Until the Odyssey comes out this week. Fuck.
Yeah, you're still a big old fucking loser, and I'm the one who's almost cracking a Billy. I'm almost cracking a Billy. Although my Minions and Monsters isn't doing too well. We should do an update at some point. Maybe we'll make it like a unlisted video or something like that with the next draft that we do, just to check in and see how well I'm doing against everyone else.
I didn't need the attitude from you. Just close this off already.
All right. Well, with so many blades that we talk about, it feels like sort of a good way to just yell, cut!
That was so unnecessary, bro. Truly, it was so unnecessary.
What? Calling, what, give it the shade?
Are you still a loser? Like, what? What do you want from me?